Hi everyone, my name is Mackenzie Nordone, and for those of you who don't know me, I am a support group facilitator here at NOCD. Today, I want to take a little bit of time to talk to you about what OCD recovery means to me. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about what OCD is. OCD is when someone experiences an obsession, which is an intrusive thought, image, or urge. And in order to get rid of the anxiety around that, they complete a compulsion. A compulsion is anything we do mentally or physically to get rid of the anxiety brought on by the obsessions. There's a common misconception that recovery from OCD means the absence of any symptoms from OCD. And that's not true, right? Because if there was no symptoms of OCD whatsoever, that would mean there was a cure. And even though there isn't a cure, OCD is extremely manageable and treatable with exposure response therapy. Recovery is going to be a little bit different for everyone, but I think at its core, it's living life based in values instead of fear. It's being able to tolerate uncertainty and knowing that if and when something happens, we handle it when we get there. I always laugh when I talk about this because recovery for me is a bunch of little things. It's not necessarily always this big thing, right? So sometimes recovery from OCD for me means being able to drive my kids to school. And on top of that, not being late to pick them up because I got stuck turning around to make sure a pothole was definitely a pothole and not a person that I missed by mistake. Recovery can be finishing a tube of toothpaste or a thing of deodorant. If you're laughing, or let me explain. When my contamination OCD was really loud, I was never finishing anything because something would always happen where my OCD would tell me that the item was contaminated and I would throw it away and I would buy something else. I would buy it again. So just being able to finish toothpaste or deodorant is a huge part of recovery for me. Using a public restroom without spiraling out of control with all the what ifs. What if I'm contaminated? What if I caught a disease? All of those things that used to fill my mind. I'm able to do things like that without spiraling out of control. At its core, for me too, I think recovery is self confidence and self awareness. It's knowing that I am confident and comfortable enough with myself to know that I can tolerate uncertainty. It's having the self confidence to know that I can do hard things. And I think it's also having the self awareness to know when OCD inserts itself into my life and then digging my heels in and using the tools I learned in exposure response therapy to help get me through it. Recovery is being triggered by OCD because, yes, I still get triggered by OCD because there isn't a cure and it is something I have to manage. But I am able to navigate that so much better in this place of recovery. So things that used to send me into an outward spiral, into a downward spiral, now are a blip on the radar. And I'm able to lean in, pick myself up, dust myself off, and use those tools to get myself through that anxiety and that uncertainty. Recovery is also having the self awareness to know that there's a healthy level of concern in everything in life. There are public bathrooms that are dirty. There are going to be times where we need to be really cautious and we might have a close call with somebody walking through a crosswalk or somebody walking across the road where there isn't a crosswalk. There's healthy levels of concern in everything. But then there's where OCD enters the group chat, right? So when I start feeling those what ifs come in, when I start ruminating, when I start feeling that OCD is present, I use that self awareness to say, okay, my OCD was triggered today. How am I going to help myself through this? What am I going to do? What tools can I use here? And then I'm able to keep going. It's I think recovery too simply is the idea of not just surviving, but thriving. I was living a life where I was so afraid of dying that I wasn't living at all. And that gutted me. So for me, recovery is living. It is living and living in values and not living in fear of everything and everyone. If you're looking for help, please visit our website and you can schedule a free 15-minute call with one of our care team members, and they will answer any information you have. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I encourage you to let me know in the comments, what is recovery for you?